Stephen Bradbury won Australia's very first Winter Olympic gold medal in 2002, making him the greatest athlete ever produced, possibly in the entire world. Fuck. Unless the storyteller will start with old mate Stephen, Olympic level ice skater man, poised at the starting line of the race that will define him for the rest of his life. But let's rewind a bit. The real story starts in Camden, New South Wales, which is a sweltering place, so it doesn't snow there. In fact, it barely snows anywhere in Australia, unless you're bloody willing to climb to the top of Mount Baw Baw. Yeah, that's a real place. But yeah, nah, Sydney gets pretty stinking hot. The coldest they ever recorded was 2 degrees Celsius. The hottest? 50 degrees Celsius. What I'm trying to say is that in a place like that, not many people dream of being an ice skater. It's kind of hard to skate on melted ice. But Stephen Bradbury isn't many people. This man is a legend, an Olympic legend. He's skated his little heart out to become one of the top speed skaters in Australia. I need help. I can't keep doing this. 1991. Flash forward to 1991. Steve and his team enter the short track relay in the World Championships, and they won! 4 skatey boys won the first world title for Australians in a winter sport, and he was just 17. When I was 17, I was putting together the final chapter of my self-insert furry comic, The Time Warriors. 1992. That team, the 4 Skatey Boys, I don't think that was their name, but the 4 Skatey Boys were chosen to represent Australia in the 1992 Winter Olympics, but some other blokes crashing caused them to lose in the semi-finals. 1994. Wait, so hang on, are the Winter Olympics like every 2 years? I thought they were 4 years apart, like leap years. Anyway, after the 1992 Olympics, old mate Steve immediately competed in the next Olympics 2 years later, where they beat Japan and New Zealand to win the semi-final. They had a really solid plan, which was don't fall down. You see, there were 4 teams competing, and if one team fell down and they didn't fall down, then they would win the first medal for Australia in Winter Olympic history. I know what you're thinking. It's a bit of a shit strategy. Just hope someone trips over and you can take that spot. It's an absolute long shot, and it sounds like a desperate plan from a team with no chance of winning. During the race, Team Canada fell down, allowing the Australians to come third and win the first medal for Australia in Winter Olympic history. It was bronze, but you know what they say. First the worst, second the best, third the man with the hairy chest, and then you've got fourth the horse stuck in the sauce, and so on. Steve Skate Demon Bradbury also entered the solo 500 meter and 1000 meter races. He was making excellent time in the 500 meters and made it to the semi-final, but was knocked over by a dipshit rival skater, which caused him to come 4th overall. In the 1000 meter heats, he started racing but was pushed over again. I hate this. He was being bullied. I'm not even sure who pushed him over. What's a country that we can start a beef with that's not racist? Later that year, Steve Skate or Die Bradbury was competing in a World Cup event in Montreal when another skater crashed into him with their skate slicing his thigh straight through. Steve was mid-race when this happened, so his heart was pumping like a jackhammer, and this meant that his blood was just being encouraged to leave his body at phenomenal speeds through the open wound of his leg. He ended up needing 111 stitches. He couldn't move for 3 weeks, and it took 18 months for his legs to recover. Like, what the fuck? This never would have happened with rollerblades. 1998. Stephen Bradbury was back with his medal-winning team from 1994 and beat their time from then by 2 seconds. However, the other teams beat their 1994 time even harder, so they didn't make it to the finals. Steve Blades of Glory Bradbury also entered the solo 500 meter and 1000 meter races again, but he didn't make any placements again due to fucking collisions. If that's annoying to hear about now, imagine what it would have been like for Steve. He'd have been mildly frustrated to say the least. The year 2000. Steve Iceman Bradbury was training when tragedy struck. Someone fell down in front of him and he decided to do a cool trick by jumping over the guy. Apparently this is common practice, except he didn't jump high enough and clipped the dude and fell and smashed his fucking neck and fractured 2 vertebrae. Poor bastard had to spend a month and a half in a halo brace and needed 4 pins to be inserted in his skull and screws and plates bolted into his back and chest. Like, I'd be fed up with ice skating at that point. The doctors even said, bro, Ice skating is fucked, and due to the severity of this injury, you're never going to be able to skate again. 2002. It's the 1,000 meter finals of the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, and Stephen Bradbury is in the starting line, the furthest he's ever been in a solo ice skating race. The doctors told him he'd never skate again, but Steve wasn't happy with how he kept getting knocked down in every single solo race he had entered. This was personal for him. He made excellent time in his heats. He lucked out in the preliminaries because the second place person got disqualified. He came first in his semi-finals, and this was it. The race that will determine who wins the gold medal. 10 years of competing, a sliced leg, a broken neck, and now 4 Olympic Games. It was all down to this. The race began, and it was looking terrible for him. The other 4 races were significantly further ahead of him. There was no way he was going to win this. He was the oldest guy on the field, and he couldn't keep up with their speed, until suddenly, everyone in front of him fell. USA, Canada, China, Korea, all tripped over each other. Stephen Bradbury was the last man standing and sailed past the finish line to victory. The judges upheld the results, meaning Stephen won Australia's first ever gold medal in the Winter Olympics. An absolute legend, a real life version of the tortoise and the hare. Oh, I didn't mention how he won the semi-finals to get into this race, did I? Well, he won because the exact same thing happened. He was the slowest, but they all fell over and he sailed past everyone to the finish line. You wouldn't believe it. His strategy from 1994 came into play here. I'm serious. That was his plan from the start.
You're at the rear of the field. What were you thinking here, Stephen?
Well, I went in with the same plan as the semi-final, which was to sit at the back and hope that there was a lot of collisions, because I didn't think...
Focus on not falling down, and the rest will take care of itself. Stephen did struggle with accepting the gold medal, like everyone tripped over and I kinda was just at the right place at the right time. But he wouldn't have gotten to that place and time if he hadn't dedicated his life to that sport. So I'd say it was well earned. Stephen retired from sports after that, and I don't blame him. Over here in Australia, people now say doing a Bradbury when you do something awesome, like come from behind and kick some ass. I've been doing Bradburys my entire life. It's kind of what I'm hoping to do with this YouTube channel as well. I'm hoping that every other channel above us just completely collapses and then we can just soar on to that #1 subscriber spot. Anyway, there's a lesson in all of this. Never give up. Keep fighting and keep working so you can be ready when the right time and right place presents itself. It's not just waiting for the opportunity to present itself. It's being ready for it. If you like this video, check out this one about Corey Worthington, another Aussie legend. Now, my famous drop pie catchphrase.